For this year, the old target we have is 1.373 trillion as a target we have. But so far, for the 6 months, we've so far collected 666 billion, and we think we are really doing very well. And as set target, we have surpassed around 5.8 billion.
Yeah, as you've seen, there's a huge surpass, 5 point...
Not really huge, because we think we can do better than the surpass, yeah.
Yeah, what were the attributed things? What things did you do differently to make sure that you surpassed the set target?
The most important factor now is we had a very good performance in the economy. Initially, it was supposed to have performance around 7.5, but according to the reports from the Institute of Statistics, the economy has really grown around 7.7%. So this good performance of economy also contributed, but also we have put some measures in place. For instance, now we put in place the VAT controls, meaning that we can now validate the VAT inputs and the VAT outputs. But for the future also, we want to, again, to put in place the validation of CIT. This is the corporate income tax and personal income tax also. Maybe from March, we want to have also these controls in the systems. But again, we have been putting in place some program for the sensitization of the citizen on the importance to contribute to the country economy. So all these measures has really helped us to also change the behavior in terms of compliance. So we think that there is much to do, but still we want also to, again, to put some efforts in recovering the areas. So with all these measures, we think by the end of this year, we could also achieve our targets.
Yeah, you've talked about sensitizing the people on tax and on compliance to tax. So how has their compliance been so far?
We think that the compliance scheme really is changing, because if you consider in terms of tax return, in terms of filing, we now have around 90% of filing, even the payment at the same rate. So we think this also can be for us a measure of compliance. So still there is many to do, but we are really happy with how the compliance is progressing.
Yes, you've mentioned on tax return. We've seen there are some countries that are giving tax return back to the individuals. You know, should we be expecting anything like that here in Rwanda?
Yeah, so far we have what we call the VAT refund. Generally for those in the VAT scheme, there is a scheme how we can return to them the VAT refund. But we are not thinking about how can we also refund the citizen with what we call the VAT rebate. This is an idea, and we are thinking about how can we materialize this idea of refunding the citizen. Maybe also it can also change the behavior and also help us for the compliance. But still it is a project. Maybe we need to review the law, we need to conduct some studies and convince the ministry and the government. But we think it is possible in the long run to have this kind of rebate to the citizen.
Yeah, could there be like an estimated time of when the law could be implemented?
In our projection is maybe by the end of this year we should have at least the law, but still we are working on it and try to push if we can have it on the time, at this time we want.
Yeah. So we've seen that Rwanda Revenue Authority has put forward actually a new measure, the EBM version 2. Yeah, how has the uptake been and how is the operability of it?
So far, I think in terms of uptake, we have around 5,000 registered taxpayers who requested for this version 2, and even already they get the software, and we think that maybe by the end of this year, our objective is to have at least 10,000 of processing this version 2, because we now have what we call the virtual SDC. This is also a version of EBM 2, which will be used by banks, some sectors, banks, hotels, restaurants, even petrol station and supermarkets. So this is also a solution we are trying to also to put in place, and with this solution, we think many will be also adding the number on those we have now. The ideal is to have all VAT registered in using version 2, because the version 2 has really many features and some option we don't have in EBM version 1. So what we are doing now is to try to have someone who can develop a POS which can be accessible to every trader, but still the effort we are pushing in is to have something which is affordable and which will be also easy to use by all traders. Even have some application on mobile or telephone. Maybe with this